How you guys doing today? Today, I am going to answer one of the comments I had in the one of the descriptions of one of the videos in the comment section. And the question was, is it better to settle with a debt collection company or the original creditor? So I'm going to give you my opinion with regards to that. So stay tuned. My name is Jay, and welcome to Ask a Debt Collector, a subsidiary of Clear and Strategic. Now, I've been in the debt collection industry for over 15 years. I've done it all, from management to owning 2 debt collection companies. Over the last 10 years, I've been the go-to guy for friends and family for questions regarding debt and credit. Now I want to be that person for you. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. Let's go. Guys who have subscribed, who has liked the video, who has shared the video, who watch my videos, all of it. I'm so grateful with regards to that. I've taken this channel from nothing to a person who didn't believe that the information that I have will be good for you guys, to now understanding that this information is very much needed. So if you're brand new to this channel, look at subscribing. And for those of you who have subscribed, like this video so that way it can get to many more people. I'm going to read the question that I actually received on YouTube, and I'm going to throw it up right now to you guys. It says, "You are awesome, man. Thanks for your advice. It's really hard to talk to people about this." And I can definitely understand that because of the mere fact that, you don't want to be putting your business all out there. So dos_paletos_ is the person who wrote this comment. I got one more if you don't mind. And this is going to the question because he asked me some questions before. So this is to let you guys know when you're putting questions in that comment section, I'm actually answering them. But nevertheless, this is what he says. Is it better to pay the original debtor or settle it with the collection company? And if I do settle with the original debtor, will the collection company charge be settled, right? So this is sort of kind of a loaded question with regards to that, but I am going to give you what I believe is the best answer concerning that question in particular. So let's start from the beginning, sort of kind of like one of the great things about me, if I'm working on your credit, is, as you know, I've been in the debt collection industry for over 15 years, right? And that gives me insight to understand. So I'm not just telling you, don't ever pay a debt collector. Hey, debt collectors are this, debt collectors are that. I'm telling you from experience because I was that person on the phone calling every single person up and telling them to actually pay a debt. And I've done it for years, right? Even the companies that I actually own, I was actually on the phones as well, making calls, getting consumers like yourselves to actually pay your debt. So that gives me an insight. I know how debt collectors think, and then I understand this side. And to be honest with you, in the beginning of starting YouTube, I battled going back and forth because I knew all of my collections friends and so forth would look at me sort of kind of as a trader coming to the credit repair side, but that's a whole nother story in itself. And it wasn't as bad as people thought, and I feel better helping people versus calling you to pay something that you defaulted on, right? I feel a lot better in this aspect, and that's why I've stuck with credit repair and I no longer do debt collections. But when I was a debt collector, I remember there were times where either I'm getting in an altercation with a consumer who actually owes money, and after going back and forth with negotiating or whatever it is, the person gets upset and they'll say, I'm paying the original creditor, right? Or I've been in situations where I just call the consumer for the first time, I get them on the phone, and I tell them, hey, you owe this debt, and they'll say, I don't pay collection agencies, I only pay the original creditor. And they'll hang up. And so the reality is, with regards to both of those settings, I know a lot of you guys have questions out there, and you want to know what is actually better. And the reality is, it all depends on your circumstance, right? So what's very important is understanding something that's very key in the beginning. And that's if the debt collection company that's calling you, if they actually own the debt or if they have it on a contingent basis, right? And for those of you who don't understand that, if a debt collection company owns a debt, that means that they actually bought the account from the original creditor. So let's say, for instance, Capital One, they had an account, it was charged off, it was sent to collections, and they have two options. They can either place it with the debt collection company, which means that the Capital One still owns the account, but they hired the debt collection company on a contingent basis to collect the account, or they'll just take it with a bulk of other accounts and sell it to a collection agency. And a debt buyer actually purchases the account. Now, me as a debt collector, when I owned the company, I had accounts on a contingent basis as well as I purchased accounts, and I owned them outright. Now, the thing you have to understand on a contingent basis is sometimes it doesn't come from the original creditor, right? So I've had accounts placed with my debt collection company where a debt buyer actually purchases. So I didn't buy it directly from Capital One. Capital One sold it to a debt collection company, and that debt collection company outsourced it to me to help them on a contingent basis to collect the account. And there are times where the original creditor, Capital One in particular, will hire a debt collection company to actually do the collections on their own. The reason why that matters is when it comes to negotiating a settlement, if it's a contingent-based account, which means that they're collecting for another company, then the settlement parameters a lot of times are going to be harder, right? Because of the margin of error with regards to the account. Like, for instance, Capital One had a $1,000 account. The contract that I have as a debt collection company with Capital One is we split the proceeds. And sometimes, a lot of times, we keep 30% and we remit back to them, or we pay back to them 70% of the account. So let's say you had a $1,000 account. I call you to pay it. We have it on a contingent basis, that Capital One account, and we only get 30%. So if you paid the $1,000, as a collector, I only get credit for $300. $700 has to go back to Capital One per our contract, or what it is that we do when they assign those accounts to us on a contingent basis. And so when I'm looking at a settlement, if I know that I know the balance is $1,000, but my part is $300, a lot of times if you wanted to settle, let's say at $400, I only get 30% of that as a collector on the phone. So 30% of $400 is what? 4, 8, 12, $120. I only get credit for $120 of the 4, and we got to remit the remaining $280 back to the client. And that's if they're willing to accept that amount. So a lot of times with negotiation, it's harder. Versus if it's debt owned and if it's bought, I know that my margins are a lot higher, right? So I buy the account for Capital One. That account in particular, I may spend $10 to $20 for. And now you want to settle at $400. I'm a lot more apt to do that because we own the debt. I only paid $20 for it. And so my credit for the account will be minus the $20 that I paid. So anything above $20 is money made. But understand something. Those margins, you can't get caught up in there and thinking, oh, then in that case, I'm only going to offer them $20 on a $1,000 settlement. No. Every single account doesn't pay, and the margins across the board, you know, it all varies. So a lot of times companies won't go lower than 70% of the debt. Sometimes 50%. It just depends on the circumstances and how much they spent on the debt on the side where they own the account. I hope I didn't give you too much information there, but that's the situation with regards to that. Now, one of the things you have to understand, though, is if you call an original creditor, or you have a Capital One account, let's say, and it's with a debt collection company, whether it's contingent or they own it, and you state, I don't want to pay you, I'm going to pay the original creditor. Can you actually do that? Yes. You can actually write up a check for the full amount. You want to make sure it's for the full amount. You can pay the original creditor, and what happens is if the original creditor has the account, they'll remit it back to that collection agency. And if it's the balance in full, if they no longer have the debt, they'll either take it and remit it back to that collection agency, or they'll tell you that we can't take a payment and you have to pay the collection agency. Per the contract that they signed with the original, with that collection agency, in those contracts, whether it's contingency based or they sold the debt outright, the collection agency actually owns the account. Or on a contingent basis, they have it for an allotted amount of time. So if you actually call the original creditor, they're going to tell you on the phone, hey, yes, you did have a Capital One account that was actually in collections that you did not pay, and they'll give you the number to the company. Chances are it's going to be that debt collection company that bought the account or that have it on consignment on a contingent basis, right? So if you call them up, they're going to tell you they can't accept payments. So typically you're going to have to go back to the debt collector, and whatever it is that they're saying with regards to that debt is what is pretty much law if you want to take care of it, right? So if you just mail the letter, yeah, you can mail the original money to the original creditor, and either they're going to send it back to you or they'll send it to that collection agency. But the reality is it makes more sense to deal with the collection company, right, who actually has the account at the time. Because if you send the payment that way, I've seen people send payment that way, and it takes Capital One almost 60 days to 90 days to actually get the payment, and then another 60 to 90 days to remit it back to the correct company that actually owns the account or has it on a contingent basis, and that could take forever. So the only time I would recommend that you pay the original creditor is in the event that they actually still have the account. If they no longer have the account, all you're going to do is prolong your situation and make things a lot longer with regards to clearing up your credit. Because if you pay the original creditor, especially if you just mail a regular check in the mail to them, ain't no telling how long it's going to take for them to get it, to process it, figure out that they no longer have the account, and actually send it to the company that actually has the account. And then once that company gets it, they'll apply it towards the balance. You may have interest on the account or whatnot. And if you have interest, then you may still have a balance that you have to pay. So you definitely can't settle with the original creditor if a collection agency has the account on a contingent basis, or if they own the account. They're going to refer you back to the debt collection company. So the moral of the story is you start with the chain of command, right? Start with the original creditor. You can call them up, and then they'll tell you who the account was sold to. You contact that company, and if they don't have it, a lot of times it may be sold to another company, or they may have it like I explained to you before. They actually own it, but then they place it with the debt collection company on a contingent basis. And you're going to have to go through the chain of command to find out who actually has the account. And once you find out that, anything that you do, make sure you get it in writing so that way you'll have a record of it in case later it pops back on your credit report or it does not get off of your credit report. And the only way to verify and make sure that you're paying on the correct account is by that original account number. The original account number is always key. That's the only number that never changes. You have the original account number, and then you have a reference number or a case number or something along the lines. Those numbers are only used based on each specific collection company to verify or to find your account, but the original account number never changes. That original 16-digit in the Capital One situation, that original 16-digit credit card number is your original account number. That number will not change. So you need to make sure that that matches with what you have on your records before you pay, so you're not paying on some account that wasn't yours or doesn't have the correct account number. So, in a nutshell, to answer the question, it's better to pay who actually has the account currently now. There's a 20-minute free consultation down below. I have the knowledge on both debt collections and credit repair. I would say I'm an expert in both sides. If your credit score is in the 4s, the 5s, or 6s, you definitely need credit repair now. If right now with inflation and everything that's happening, it's very key to invest in yourself, your knowledge and everything with regards to understanding the laws and so forth concerning, money, right? But the best way to get started is by clearing up your credit profile, right? Hiring a credit repair company, a professional. Down below is a 20-minute free consultation. I don't accept everyone. Some people, their situations don't merit getting credit repair, and I'll be honest and tell you, some situations are where your situation is far and beyond what I can actually do to help you out, and I'll let you know. But majority of the cases, you're going to need credit repair, and I can help you out with regards to that. Like I've answered this question, if you have any questions about debt or credit, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer them. I'm going to still do my regular answering where I type and I give you those answers, and every once in a while, maybe once a week, if I see a question that I think that I've been asked a couple times and so forth, I'll put it in a video for you guys and give it for everyone's consumption to help you guys all out. As I always state, you be